Well, let's turn our attention now to the race for the Conservative Party leadership. There's a newcomer in the contest who isn't widely known to many Conservatives, and she is one of only 2 women in the race. And this approach is a little different. She wants to neutralize warnings that Conservatives have a hidden agenda by trumpeting that agenda instead. Let's find out more about that. Leslyn Lewis is a Toronto lawyer, and she is with me now. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in to speak with me.
Thanks for having me.
What do we need to know about Leslyn Lewis? Let's have a bit of an introduction. What do Canadians need to know about you?
Well, I'm a loving mother of 2, and I am a lawyer. I also have my own business, my own law firm, and so I understand the struggles of small business owners. And I've also taught at the university, at York University, and I've also represented international Canadian companies internationally.
Okay, you were a Conservative candidate, kind of a last-minute candidate in 2015, but you don't have a really long track record as an active Conservative within the party that I can see. So why have you decided that this is the time that you believe you're the right person to seek the leadership of this party?
Well, I've actually been active in the party since about 2009 in various capacities, and I did run in 2015. And at this point in time, I just feel that the direction that the country's going, I don't like the direction that the country's going. I'm worried that the country that I was raised in and the opportunities that I've had won't be there for my children.
The direction of the country and the direction of the party as well?
Yes.
What concerns you about the direction of the party?
Well, I see divisions within the party, and I'm concerned about the democratic process. I'm concerned about people in the party having a voice. And because we have differing views within the party, I still think that those views need to be heard and that we need to trust democracy. We need to trust the process and have everybody's views be heard.
Why do you think that is? What do you think has happened within the party that has sort of tamped down those differing views or put a tamper on debate?
I actually think that it's fear. I think that there's a fear that because we lost the last election, that if we entertain certain values, that we will lose another election. And I think that's what's causing the division.
And you don't believe that?
I don't believe that at all.
Okay, you say you want to neutralize efforts to paint Conservatives with the hidden agenda brush, which we've seen in a lot of elections. So you want to put your agenda out there up front. And so let's talk about that. And chief among those agenda items is the issue of abortion. So what about abortion and a woman's right to choose? Would you be moving to legally restrict abortions in this country?
No, I've set out my agenda, my abortion agenda, and the 4 things that I would do. So I would stop the misogynist practice of sex-selective abortion, and I believe that over 90% of Canadians agree that a fetus shouldn't be terminated on the sole principle that it's a girl. I would also stop coerced abortion, and that's also not a divisive issue. The majority of Canadians agree that a woman should not be coerced into an abortion. I would also promote pregnancy care centers, which aid women who are in crisis. And I think that people agree that we should be there for women who are in crisis and pregnant. And I would also defund overseas abortion, because I don't believe that taxpayers' dollars should be used to fund overseas abortion. There are other aids that we could target that money towards.
Okay, what about late-term abortions in this country? Would you move to restrict those, to ban those?
Well, I don't believe in late-term abortions. I don't believe in any abortions because I'm pro-life. However, that's not a part of my platform at this time. I've laid out the 4 issues that I would be dealing with.
Okay, so and how do you see that? If you're leading the Conservative Party, how do you see that issue brought to the fore? Is this change that you would lead, or you would encourage members of the caucus who feel this way to bring it forward and then allow that to be a free vote within the caucus? Or is this something as leader you will champion, you will lead this fight?
Well, actually, I believe that there should be free votes on these issues, and there are a number of MPs in Parliament that would champion these issues. And as leader, I would want to unite the party, and so I would speak to caucus first and then come up with a general plan moving forward. But these are issues that I believe in myself.
Well, there's a bill before Parliament now that's been put forward by a Conservative MP that would take action against sex-selective abortion. So it's in Parliament, it's being debated, will be debated. So how would your approach be different?
She has presented that,
right.
So I would support that. I
right.
would support her motion.
Okay, so on this particular issue, Stephen Harper had success as the last Conservative Prime Minister in this country by saying he wouldn't reopen these debates. He wouldn't allow them to move to the fore, and he had success in bringing together different sort of voting communities in this country. And are you worried at all that taking this approach, that is viewed as reopening the abortion debate, and there's an audience that won't support that?
It is not, because the majority of Canadians agree that we need to deal with these issues, and these issues are all in the party platform. So I don't believe that it's reopening the debate, because I don't believe the debate was ever closed. I think that we always have to talk about rights and values, and that in a free and democratic society, we should be open to talking about all issues.
So what happened in the last election? I mean, Andrew Scheer had trouble dealing with these questions, same-sex marriage, a woman's right to choose, and the party couldn't win enough seats to form government. Do you think what kind of a role do you think that played in his election loss? I mean, you talked about it earlier. You think people are afraid to talk about it because they think it cost the last election. You don't think it cost the last election?
I don't. I actually don't. I think that if you're clear on what you intend to do and people know what you intend to do, then you let the democratic process unfold. And I think that the problem arises when people have hidden agendas, and I don't want to put forth a hidden agenda.
What about same-sex marriage? It's the law of the land in this country. What would you do about that?
Well, that's not a part of my platform, because I don't plan to change the definition of marriage.
But if someone in the caucus brought it forward and said it's time to reopen this conversation, you would support that, or you would, as leaders, say that's not what we're doing?
I don't think there's an appetite for that. I don't think that people want to talk about that. And if they do, and somebody brings forth a motion, then we let the democratic process unfold, as we do with any issue.
Okay.
But it's not something that is in my platform.
Well, it would be at odds with current party policy, which is to remain neutral on who gets married, and that's the position you support.
Yes.
And if it's brought forward by someone else in the caucus, you would argue against it.
Well, but
allow the process to come forward.
Right, and if it's against party policy, then the party policy has to change, and there's a process for doing that. You would get your delegates, and then you would go to a convention, and you would change a party policy. So all of my positions that I'm bringing forth are actually in line with party policy.
What's your plan to deal with climate change?
Well, I believe that we should be good stewards of the environment. So my environmental plan is to make sure that all Canadians have clean air, clean water, and uncontaminated land.
You are at odds. Let's talk about the two men that everybody describes as the front runners, Peter MacKay and Erin O'Toole. They've said they would try to force an election this fall. You think they're wrong. How come?
Well, I don't think that we have the seats. We don't have the numbers to force an election. So I find it very disingenuous for me to promise something that I know that I can't deliver on my own.
Well, their argument, I spoke to Erin O'Toole yesterday about this, and his argument is, look, it's important for us as the official opposition to let Conservatives know where we stand. So you may not have the votes, but you move a motion in Parliament saying Canadians have lost confidence, the House has lost confidence, and you make that statement. And you're saying, what, it's purely symbolic?
I think it's symbolic because we can't force the election, number one. And number two, in speaking with the members, the grassroots want their voices to be heard. And we have a convention coming up in November in Quebec, and many people want to go there and set the direction of the party. In addition, the local EDAs want to make sure that they have viable candidates, and they need time to prepare for that.
What do you think of those? If they're the two front runners, what do you think of their candidacies? What do you think of Peter MacKay and Erin O'Toole?
In what capacity?
You would obviously think you'd be a better leader of the party than either of those two men. How come?
Well, there are a number of issues, but I think one issue that I'm very strong on is the environment, and I don't think that our party has focused enough on environmental issues. In addition, I think that our party needs to be more compassionate. We need to make sure that the vulnerable in our society are taken care of, and I think that's something that's been missing from our party, from their campaigns.
On stewards of the environment, do you favor a carbon tax?
No, I don't actually, because I believe that tax is burdenous on largely lower income families.
Okay, a couple of things to finish on. You've also raised some questions about the way the race is being run and the rules. The timing of debates, for instance. What's your complaint there?
Well, the issue is that all the debates happen after the candidacies are closed, and so many people would like to hear from the candidates beforehand, and then maybe contribute to them or donate to them or support them in some capacity. But because it will be done afterwards, they won't have that opportunity.
Do you think that's stacked against candidates such as yourself that maybe don't have the profile of some of the others and who need that opportunity to get to be known before the cutoff of March 25th and all the money has to be raised and then the debates take place?
Well, I don't think it's deliberate, but it's an unintended consequence that because I don't have the name recognition that the other two frontrunners do have, that the debates would have been a good opportunity for people to see me, yes.
Okay. You need to raise $300,000 by March 25th. Where are you on that?
We're a third of the way there.
And that's a couple of weeks to go.
Yep.
You're confident you'll have that money?
I think we have good momentum, and I think that I'm very confident that we'll be able to do that.
All right, Leslyn Lewis, welcome to the race. Good to have a chance to talk to you. I hope we get a chance to talk again.
Thank you.